Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Coffee, where entrepreneurs sit down to get their caffeine hit or non caffeine hit, whichever, to grow your businesses and also yourselves. I'm your host, Cheryl Leong, Chief Freedom Officer of the Growth Hub, and thank you for joining us. I'd love to, if you are here with your little coffee, I'd love for you to comment below. We are live on Facebook and LinkedIn and other places as well. My special guest today is Monica Sweeney from Monica Sweeney Coaching. She is based in Australia. However, she has come a long way from Brazil as well, but wrapped up with a whole lot of knowledge around behavioral profiling. Monica is a master coach, a mentor, an NLP master practitioner, a hypnotherapist, which she's not doing today live, but will maybe the next time, and an accredited consultant for extended DISC, and she has about 30 years of corporate experience and entrepreneurship in a broad range of sectors. So I'm very excited to invite Monica down to join me for a coffee. Monica.
Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Thanks for
morning
having
to
me,
you.
Cheryl.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, Monica. I've loved chatting with you. And this is one of the things that I really want to talk about with you because as business owners, we're looking at building teams and building
Mhm.
whether it's physical teams or remote teams. We're going to be dealing with lots of different personalities.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
so this is the topic of today, is how eDisc can help businesses align themselves with your purpose and how do you align your team with your purpose. So
Mhm.
Monica, let's start from the very beginning. I mean, like,
Yeah.
let's define purpose in a business.
Mhm.
People start
Mhm.
businesses and I don't know. Do you find most people know what their purpose is?
I think there's a lot of controversy about what purpose is, because business usually define purpose like, oh, I do this and I do to help people to do this. But what really defines purpose is what do you offer to the world, to your community? What's the difference that you can make in your world, in your community? And so purpose is connected to your values and to your beliefs. And
Mm,
this is something that we sometimes forget to ask when we are creating our mission, our purpose. So what's the values behind what you do? That means, why do you do what you do? Who do you serve is just the first step, but why do you do that? What's your motivations? What's your internal motivations to do that? And then you can ask me, oh, but how can I relate that to a business? Um, because purpose is very personal. When you talk about values, this is very personal.
mm,
But how can you transfer that to the business purpose? That's the biggest secret. That's the big thing that we've been working on, is to engage people, engage the employees with your purpose as the business owner,
mm,
right?
mm.
So let's say to create purpose, you have to create like a group of believers of your dream, of what you are doing,
So
right?
is purpose the same as your vision and your mission?
It's connected to your mission. Your vision is more like how you're going to get there,
Mhm,
right? But your mission is what motivates you. Let's say leaders like Martin Luther King, why they got lots of he got a lot of followers, people that believe in him because of his passion and because his purpose was real, and that represented several people in his world. When we said about making the difference in your world, that's a good example of someone that made the difference in his world,
mm,
right?
mm,
Like Gandhi, the same thing. He represented all the national values for India at the time. Not only peace was the way he got to his purpose to build a national identity for India.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very interesting to understand what the motivations behind what people do, right?
Yeah, and
That's yeah, sorry.
excellent. So I can see where, okay, a business owner's purpose needs to be in line, obviously, with their business purpose, which also then needs to be in line with whoever it is coming on board as part of the team or employees.
Exactly.
They need to be in the same direction.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
And
how do
that's
you go about, sorry, Monica, I guess it goes on to our question around getting the right people and recruiting the right sorts of people that are
exactly.
in line. How do we go about doing that?
Yeah. So for you to have a purpose, you have to have people that will you will serve, and you have to have people that work together with you to make this purpose reality. So that is very much connected to your recruitment process. How do you recruit people? What's the people that you want in your organization that is going to lead you into your purpose direction? So you can hire the best. Let's say, give the example we spoke the other day about a great accountant,
Hmm.
very much focus on his job. He's the perfect accountant, but he not necessarily um, think the same way you do. He not necessarily has the same values as you as a person. So how can you engage
Mm-hmm.
these different personalities, these different people, these different views in a purpose? So let's get a company like Lego, for example. Their purpose is to create play time, happy time. So how do they do that? What's behind that purpose of play well, which is their slogan? Right, so it's create opportunity for the children to be creative, for the parents to interact with children, for to create a community of people that are happy, right? So Apple, for example, Apple has this purpose of being diverse and being inclusive. So everything they do, they are thinking on that purpose. So it doesn't matter the product that they are creating a purpose. And this purpose is what drives the salespeople, the product development, the marketing team, and everyone. So that accountant that we were referring can be included in this team, even if he doesn't think the same way, but he needs to be engaged in the purpose as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's when the leaders comes along as well, directing what needs to be done and who needs to be on my team for my purpose to be accomplished. Right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Matthew, we've got a comment here. In order to define our purpose, we need to have our core values. And absolutely right. I mean, like, how do I find that as business owners, particularly small business owners that go in and they're solopreneurs, really the first thing they think of is, I just want to get this, I want to do this business. Um, First got to get sales in the door and all of that. And I find as you are starting to grow a team, that
Hmm.
need to sort of really go, what do I really value? Because then it helps me see if I've got the right people.
Yeah.
And what does the right people mean? And we talk about this term, and you've mentioned to it, workplace design. What does
Hmm.
that mean?
Hmm. Yeah, the magic of doing the right workplace design, which is design how your workplace will be, is literal, right? Workplace design. So you have to build this workplace in a way that will work well for your purpose and for your results. Because when you are a purpose driven brand or purpose driven business, it's more likely that the performance and the prosperity will come because of your purpose, not because of what you sell. So the workplace design is to put the right people doing the right thing in the right place, right? So
Mhm.
let's say, and that we are going to talk about the EDISC, and the EDISC will help very much into this workplace design, because you will be able to understand people behave, people characteristics, people personalities, and place these people in the right place to help you grow your business, to help you go towards your purpose, to help you accomplish your goals, because your goals are going to be accomplished by your team. You
Mhm.
don't do anything by yourself. And you have to be able to engage this team in a way that they will help you with the growth, with the thriving of your business. And having the right person in the right place doing the right thing is one of the keys for the business to grow. It sounds very obvious, but it's not very obvious in the practical, in the daily life, right?
Mm.
Because you hire someone that, oh, I can use this person very much here or very much there, but their real motivations, the things that really makes them passionate about life or about doing something, might be masquerade or masked into who they become. So that is something that happened in our community, especially here in Australia, that you get into a industry and you follow that path, that career path, from day one till you retire, but it not necessarily means that that's the career that you wanted to follow, but you were there. So it's very hard to change careers. So we see a lot of people in this lockdown willing to change careers because they are having time to reflect what they really want, who they really are. And again, in their core values, in their what is really meaningful for their lives. So they want to join organizations that will respond to this question of themselves, because everyone needs a sense of belonging.
Mm.
You need to
Yes.
feel like you belong somewhere, and that's
Mm.
what will guarantee this the success of the workplace design, placing the right people in the right place. Yeah.
Excellent. Placing
Mhm.
placing the right people in the right place. And so in a practical sense, how do we
Mhm.
then, if we've got the right people in the right place, how do we ensure that they're aligned? The whole
Mhm.
idea of we're walking in the same direction.
Yeah. First thing, we have to talk about the role of the leadership, right? The leaders in the company needs to be the first one committed with the purpose. And the biggest exercise to be done is to build this purpose together. It's like there's an exercise that we do in some live workshops to give some IKEA furniture to be mounted all together, right? So you place that in groups, and it's a lot of laugh. We know there's a lot of uh, components that you don't even know where it's going to go, but then you building that together, you have a sense of ownership, right? Because you
Yep.
build that together. So when you build your purpose together with your team, they get so engaged because
Mm.
they believe their dreams is their dreams too.
Mm.
So they will go home and they will come back the next day engaged with this dream. So the secret is to build that together. So
Mm.
having
Mm.
leaders that are capable to involve the team to their purpose is the most important uh, characteristic that a leader has to have. So how do you build that leaders, right? So this is another key question. So because the CEO, the business owner, they are the guardians of the purpose, and they have to make sure that the purpose has been watched and has been followed most of the time. But at the same time, they have to be inclusive of the
Mhm.
difference or different opinions, different ways of thinking. So that's that's part of the things that I like to do the most, is to develop leaders that are sensitive to those differences and can get on board without losing the sense of purpose for the company.
How do you find, I mean, when you look at businesses and you step into businesses and teams and say there's toxic relate, toxic attitude
Hmm.
happening,
Hmm.
there's a
Hmm.
whole lot of miscommunication. It obviously flows on to the business and their clientele and all of that. What are the first things you do to assess
Hmm.
why it's happening and
Hmm.
where it's coming from and where to even start?
Yeah, yeah. So this is something that extended disc present as a great tool to
Mm.
understand who is who in the zoo, right?
Yep, yep.
Who's who in the zoo. So how do I do? I do individual assessments for the extended disc, and then we work one on one, and we work with the leadership to understand who is part of the team, who is part of the organization. And then we have a EDISC team where we pinpoint all the individuals that are part of the team to understand where they sit. So to people that doesn't know EDISC, it's a disk in asteroids, we say,
Mm,
because it gives you the disk profile, which is four main styles, behavior styles, which is the dominant, the influencer, the steadiness, and the compliant. So all these together define an individual in how they behave, how they think, how they communicate. So when you put it all together in a EDIS team and understand where people are, you are able to analyze and understand the conflicts, where the teams are, who is confronting who, and how things are happening. So it's kind of magic,
mhm.
because it's a very accurate tool to understand people. So then the leaders have access to this report, and we can work together to understand who will do what. Pardon
So,
me.
well, we might step back a little bit. Let's talk about disk and then what the difference is with e-disc. I think you did touch on it a little bit, but let's, for those who are not familiar with disk, what is disk and what does DISC mean as well?
Yeah, pardon me. So this is a tool that analyzes the different behavioral profiles. Like I said, D is dominant, E is influencer, S is steadiness, and C compliant. That tool was developed based on Carl Jung principles of personalities. So you are kind of combination of these different personalities. So the dominant is the one that, let's say, usually we can see them very much in sales. They are driven by results.
Mhm.
Pardon me. Then the influencer are the creatives, the usually marketing people, or
The social
the
butterflies.
designers, the social media guys, journalists. Then you have the steadiness. The steadiness are the more traditional people in the office. let's say the ones that looks after everyone, they're very focused on team, and they are very, very focused on what's fair, right? So
Mhm.
you have that people say, oh, but it's not fair. What this other
Mm.
person, the other person will think. So they are very inclusive of others. Then you have the compliance, that is the example of the accountant or the IT or engineer, people very thorough, very organized. You might have a lot of them in your team
Mhm.
with your
Yes.
VAs. They
Yes.
are very thorough, very organized, very
Yes.
process driven,
Yes.
right? With all this combination, you make a team.
Mhm.
So how can you recognize the biggest advantages of having this person or that person in your team or in a different team?
Mhm.
Sometimes you have a great employee, but he's not performing because he's not in the right place. So with
Mm.
this tool, you are able to evaluate what are the best position for each of the persons that are part of your group,
Mhm.
right? Let's say you have someone that is underperforming, so you can change, or someone that is very um, um, demotivated, like
Mm.
they don't know what to do, they don't know why they go to work. So maybe they are also in a position that don't help them to thrive. So can you work with them to change that? Yes, you
Mm.
can. So that's the
Mm.
role of the coaching, right?
Mhm.
That comes the coaching process help these people to to understand themselves, to know themselves better, and for the leadership to know each of their teams. So
Mm.
EDISC is very interesting for applying to recruitment, for example, to identify the personalities. That you can do that with DISC, and then we talk about what is DISC and what is EDISC. So EDISC will give you two profiles. It gives you the natural profile, which is the same one
Mm.
that DISC gives, and will give you a profile that is the perceived, adjusted behave
Mm.
that its
Mm.
employee are having at the moment. So that means that he thinks he needs to behave in a certain way to belong to the place, to
Mm.
belong to their team, to do their job in a better way, or sometimes to confront certain situations. So these two profiles combined and analyzed together will give you the exact understanding of what is happening to this person or to this other person.
Yeah.
So you
And
have like a photograph
e-
of the situation.
excellent. And do you find that often, or maybe not, people's disc are different to their e-disc? Are their natural state different to their
You have all
random
sorts
disc?
of profiles. You have profiles that are very aligned. Let's say the more you know yourself and you are in a stable situation, the more likely to be very similar, the
Mhm.
natural with the adjusted,
Mhm.
right? But let's say you are in a moment of big changes in your life, that will be completely different. Sometimes it will be a completely different profile from your natural style,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So depending on, and that's when you can analyze what is possibly happening, because you might identify that some personal issues in this person's lives, or there are some workplace problems, or there are you
Mm.
know, it can be anything, or it's something internal. Sometimes it's an internal crisis, like, well, I don't know who I am. I want to change. I don't know what's going on. So you are able to identify all that in this assessment. It's
Mhm.
pretty accurate. It's used in more than 160 countries. It's amazing. Yeah.
And is it a concern when someone is quite different to their natural state?
not necessarily a concern,
Mm,
but it's an alert, like to have conversations. So EDISC
mm,
also help facilitate conversations with the team. So you are able to understand there's something happening to this person. So the human resources or the leader can get to this person and say, listen, um, are you okay? Do you need
mm,
any help?
mm,
So what's going on with you that
mm.
we found that you are crossing a kind of crisis? Is that real? Is that something that you want to talk about? So you can help with counseling. We can help in the mental health issues. You can even help in practical issues. Sometimes he needs money. Sometimes he
Mm.
needs a promotion. Sometimes he needs to address something with his boss, because we know that people don't leave an organization because of anything but the relationship with the manager. So the
Yes.
manager is essential to create happiness in the workplace. So when you
Mm,
have a tool like that, you understand that the manager might need to do some changes as well.
mm,
And it's very interesting. I had this situation in a company that the sales team were all dominants. So they are so focused in the result, in the end result,
mm.
that sometimes they forget about thinking about people. They are very
Yeah.
task oriented, very focused on the result. So that promotes a lot of toxic environment in the companies when people are too much driven by money, too much
Mm,
driven by the result. But then you say, oh, but a company is here to make money, to be profitable. Absolutely, but you have different ways to be profitable and different manners to treat people in the process to make money. So the more purposeful the company is, the more it will perform better in long term. This is proven already.
mm.
Right?
Yeah. And
Mm.
so how do we bring it all together? You've got all these you've got, say if you've done your disc and your e-disc. Um,
Mhm.
in a practical sense, how do you bring it all together in your business? First, if you
Mhm.
sort of identify, um, do you sort of scale it back because you've got different people in different roles?
Yeah.
What if your EDIS identifies that they might not be in the right roles, a few of them?
Well, that's why I like to say that EDISC is a great facilitator of the tough conversations.
Mm,
Right? The good conversations everyone wants to have, but the tough conversations no one wants to have. So
yeah.
you have a tool that will help you address what's going on. So you have to have first a lot of will to resolve issues in in a let's say in the most positive way.
Mm,
That's the first thing. You have to have great intent to be inclusive, to work in diversity, and more than anything, you have to have empathy with your employee. So when it's a bigger organization, you have the human resources department that will help that conversations to happen. And when you have a small business, it's usually the owner or the CEO that's going to do those conversations.
mm,
So putting all together is having the maturity to build this purpose together, to build this team together, to be vulnerable, to be able to be vulnerable and deal with the different issues and work in a collective way, understanding that as a leader you are not alone. And most of leaders feel very lonely, and we
mm,
have even a lot of theories saying, oh, it's very lonely up there, up the ladder. Yes, it can be, but it also can be very inclusive. It
mm.
depends on your personality as a leader,
True. Yes.
and depend on how much you want to be um, to develop yourself and the team. And that requires a lot of vulnerability, a lot of maturity, and a lot of uh, internal work, right?
Mm,
From the
mm.
leadership and from each of the employees, right? You can guarantee that for the leaders because you can say, oh, this leader is doing what needs to be done, and this other one is not. So you can address even easier in your leadership team than you can address to the whole organization because the leaders are the ones that are going to replicate replicate what's your core values is, what's your
Yes.
core values are, what's your purpose is. So you depend on these leaders to be um, the the guides of the purpose to your people. Oh, there's a leader
That's
coming
my
in.
that's my little that's the little leader. The
Oh, it's
leader of the pack.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think that point that you make about whether you think in a leaders are a lonely role, and it doesn't need to be like you said. It doesn't need to be, and I think when you're including everyone in your team
Hmm.
and empowering them to
Exactly.
to have input into how your business is run,
Yeah,
then it becomes, like you said, a really inclusive.
absolutely. And then you will feel that it's worth being vulnerable, it's worth sharing,
Mm,
because you as a leader will be empowered by your team as well.
yeah,
So when you
absolutely.
need, they will step up to help you because they are part of this. You know,
Absolutely.
that famous we are in this together. So this can be true, but it will depend on you being a leader to work in yourself to not be too much centralized, like everything you have the solutions for everything. No, you will have to open your vision and your understanding about people. That's why I say that needs a lot of maturity to do that, and the will to be vulnerable, and
Mm,
to sometimes say I'm sorry, or say I don't know,
mm-hmm.
or can you help me. You don't need to be the Superman or the Wonder Woman in your business to prove that you are a great leader. A great
Yes.
leader, actually, they are more vulnerable than anything. You know,
Mm,
I see, for example,
mm,
on Twitter, I see Elon Musk replying all the messages and making jokes and interacting with people. Not many leaders do that. You
yes.
have to be very much aligned with yourself and secure or confident of who you are, you
Mm,
know,
mm,
to face the haters, to face the people that don't think like you, to face the people that question your intentions. This is all real, you know, and that's why we need to be vulnerable. We are not going to make mistakes all the time, but we are not going to be the right ones all the time. So
yes.
it's very important to understand that your team can collaborate. So
Yeah.
you and using accurate tools to help you identify who is who in your
Mm,
team will
mm,
help you also to be more assertive in the decisions that you can make, even related to who stay, who goes, who comes, who can come.
mm.
Right?
That's a really
Mm.
important point. Monica, how can people work with you? Because I think you are an absolute wealth of knowledge, and I think that's such an important point of people looking to grow their teams. As I said, we in our business at the Growth Hub, we use DISC for all our roles, and it's
Mm.
something that we look into, and understanding that we're growing a team, and it is all about do we have the right people in the right roles? And sometimes we get it
Mhm.
wrong, and sometimes, and I like to say most of the times we do get it get it right. But how do people out there who are growing teams and want to make sure it's a cohesive team that is aligned with their purpose, how can they work with you? Tell us a little bit about what you do and your services.
Yeah, I provide services of coaching and mentoring, basically, for business owners, leaders, and professionals. I serve professionals of different industries, leaders from different industries, from the pharmaceutical industries to the property industry, and well, name it. And I'm very proud of that because that teaches me a lot how to deal with different kind of mindsets.
Mm,
And so I have two programs. Is the personal coaching program for individuals, the business and workplace alignment,
mm,
um, and both I use EDISC to help people getting through the challenges that they are going through in life or in business. I'm also helping a lot of people in career change at the moment. And I don't know if you know, there's more than 3 million Australians willing to change careers.
wow.
So it's really, really significant.
Yes.
And then you can access all the information on my website, which is www.monicasweeney.com.au. And you can contact me through the website as well.
Excellent. So I'm just going to put this up there, monicasweeney.com.au. Have a chat to Monica. That business and workplace alignment again, really um, critical in really understanding your team, who they are, and if they are in the right roles. If you've been having conflict, if there's been toxicity in your workplace, it's
Mm-hmm.
worth being able to step back and go, okay, is this something that we can work with? Do we have the right people
Yeah,
or not? And sometimes you have to make those difficult decisions, right? Because
absolutely.
once you're able and make them swiftly, because if it hangs around for too long and then it affects the whole morale of the team
Absolutely.
and the
Yeah.
business as well.
Yeah.
Monica, it's been an absolute joy having you today. Absolutely. I find the whole topic so fascinating.
Mm,
And I hope anyone that's been able to join us today for a coffee, that you've had a little bit of a coffee. Focus on the good. Today is about focusing on the good, and every single day. I really appreciate you spending your time with us,
mm.
Monica, and I
Thank you
will
so
speak to
much,
you
Cheryl. It
very,
was a
very
great
soon.
pleasure, and I'm available for you anytime. Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
take care of yourself,
You
and we'll see
too.
you all in the next episode of Virtual Coffee. Take care. Have a fantastic week. Bye bye.